I told Curtis that I wasn't finished yet. This note was sent to 50 Cent shortly after Diddy won his RICO lawsuit. It wasn't from one of his lawyers, according to insiders. It was Diddy's fault. As you are well aware, Diddy was cleared of the most serious accusation against him. A screen grab of 50 that was made public shortly after the verdict showed that he had received a threatening message from a burner account. Everyone knows that 50 has appeared in pictures like this one, where 50 says, "You know, that bike doesn't have a seat, right?" These images have been exploited for years to mock Diddy's case on social media. 50 was calling Diddy fluffy and dragging him in interviews, in addition to being filthy on Instagram.
Now, I explained why I didn't bring out with him, right? Because it's not your secret. It's not my.
This is not the same, though. As you can see, Diddy is now threatening 50 with a fake account while 50 is filming a documentary. Why is this the case, and did he do that? The documentary is still in the planning stages even after the verdict. Furthermore, 50 of them promised to divulge significantly more information than was revealed during the trial. However, what is 50 waiting for? Is that why he just threatened him? If you listen closely to the trial, you can see that many questionable things happened. The individual who allegedly helped cover up the Epstein case quickly replaced the original prosecutor, as was the case with Moore and Cammie. Diddy's right-hand lady, Christina Carorm, comes next. She was identified as a co-conspirator by multiple witnesses. However, no one knows where Christina is, and federal authorities ignored her. There is far more distressing material hidden in the mainstream media. 50 Cent has now promised to make all of that information more widely available, though. However, given that he might be walking free, you can see how desperate Diddy is to keep it that way. His warning to 50 makes it clear that he will stop at nothing to protect himself. Furthermore, it is impossible to foresee Diddy's future actions once he departs. He might target the commercial relationships and transactions of the 1950s, or he might do something much more horrible. Considering that Capricorn Clark, a witness, earlier told us that Diddy wanted to remove 50.
This morning with Capricorn Clark. She's a former Diddy assistant, former marketing manager for Sean John. She talked about 50 Cent. So I don't know what year this was, but she said that Diddy was doing a press event with 50 Cent at MTV, and they actually shared the same manager at this point, and his name was Chris Lighty. And she said that Chris Lighty and herself and Diddy got into an elevator, and Diddy was having a problem with 50 Cent, and he said something like, you know, I don't like the back and forth.
This was more than simply a conversation about staying in your lane, so let's look into that concerning statement. Telling Curtis that I'm not finished yet and that the burner account hasn't spoken in a few months was the message that was sent. Hours after the verdict was handed down, that one sentence brought it back to life. At this point, it becomes depressing. There are about 50 sources who claim that he has already received threats. There was a tremendous outcry when 50 found out that Diddy was taking him out. Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark, testified in May that she had gone with Diddy to an NTV News conference where she heard a security officer say that he preferred guns to people and ignorance. According to Capricorn, Diddy also mentioned his feud with 50 Cent, who was there that day. I have a gun, Mr. Combs told Chris Lighty, according to what Capricer stated. He had problems because of 50 Cent. What was 50's reaction to this? He captioned a tweet that included a picture of himself looking distressed, saying, "Oh my goodness, itty bitty Diddy wants me dead. Since I'm 50, I must remain hidden. I suppose I'll hide away for tonight's playoff game, but this is that thing." We were all still convinced that Diddy would be given a life sentence at the time of this in May. The jury found Diddy not guilty of 3 of the 5 charges, but he was cleared of the most serious one, the RICO conspiracy. Diddy was charged with 2 counts of transporting Cassie and another woman named Jane for prostitution. What does this actually mean in terms of possible jail time, as reported by NBC News? Will Diddy escape punishment for this? Is he at ease enough to threaten 50 Cent because of this? On the day the verdict was announced, Diddy and his entourage were certain that Diddy would go back home. Nevertheless, Diddy was denied bail. Judge Aaron Subramanian reportedly determined that Diddy is too dangerous to be freed, according to News Nation. Diddy's punishment for the pair: he will remain under arrest until the guilty verdict is handed out on October 3rd. Diddy could receive a maximum term of 20 years in prison, with 10 years for each of the 2 offenses he was found guilty of, according to People magazine. Following Diddy's sentencing, his lawyers will probably contest both his guilt and his penalty. Whether he indeed serves that long will have to be determined by time. Let's return to 50 Cent now. What is it? Even worse, he still hasn't received a punishment. But he has already threatened to take revenge. For instance, he is conscious of his freedom. But why is Diddy aiming for number 50 in retaliation? Yes, 50 has been tormenting and making fun of Cassie ever since she left her case over 2 years ago. Before everything went wrong, 50 was doing that, Diddy, you know. Diddy and 50 had been at odds since the early 2000s. Additionally, 50 was the first to publicly express skepticism regarding Diddy's sexual orientation. It has existed for some time. 50 people harassed Diddy online, but it wasn't just him. He disclosed the possible origin of the argument. 50 Cent gave this justification for his choice to start mocking Diddy 8 years ago on The Breakfast Club.
Continuously call Puffy. Does that affect your relationship with Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said,
Let me read this, Fifth. Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner thieves in theaters.
oh, that's why I get uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time, long time ago, at Chris Knighton's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of no. Take me. That's still what a guy says to a girl.
You've been getting that for a decade. I remember when you said the top feels so much better than the bottom.
I've been saying this. Everybody see, don't make like it's just me, man. Puffy do some little fluffy stuff.
Now you guys are all listening.
To these jokes, Diddy desires to do something for 50. He could have done it years ago, but the stakes are higher now. Did he complete it? The forthcoming documentary by 50 Cent also touches on all of this. What is that? 50 recently disclosed that he is changing his path with his physician and is now curious to find out more about Diddy's Van Stam Why documentary series will be more than simply the headlines or the first few clips. It will tell a complex story spanning decades. 50 said. Now what did he do? The original plan was to draw attention to Diddy's absurd behavior, especially his freak-off parties with other famous people. However, since Diddy lost, the RICO indictment has made the project more sinister and dangerous. And apparently eyes shut. Party at Diddy's estate was captured in a recent video that claimed to be from the 50th documentary. The full 9, masks, ritualistic vibes, and antlers. If the video is real, the 1950s documentary will show a far darker side of this tale that most people are not aware of. However, things worsen. According to those close to the production, 50 decided to check into the story's nuances that were missed during the trial, and he wanted to address the current problem. In other words, the trial was staged to divert attention from Diddy's alleged status as a government asset. Remember when Diddy was referred to as a Fed by Kanye? Appears to have found evidence in favor of this theory.
That's why you
However, how can he demonstrate that Diddy might have been a government asset? First, he wants a segment of his documentary project to focus on Christina Korom, Diddy's enigmatic acquaintance and purported madam, who is purportedly what Gallon. Jeffrey Epstein said Maxwell was. The mainstream press claimed that Christina Korom, Diddy's longtime right-hand lady, was the key to the case when he was jailed last year.
Speculation, a woman at the center of Sean's orbit and business empire could potentially hold the key to the prosecution. She is Christina Korom, seen here with Diddy in Florida in November after he settled his case with ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. Diddy posted this photo of her to Facebook saying, "Christina, aka KK, keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's my right hand." In a separate lawsuit against Combs, music producer Rodney Jones used this same photo, calling Korom the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs' Jeffrey Epstein. She was referenced 64 times.
However, Christina's name was barely brought up during the trial. In her testimony, Cassie did mention Christina, claiming that she was being watched by her on Diddy's behalf. According to Cassie's testimony, she talked to Christina almost every day about the schedule, Diddy's emotions, and how to handle him. "I talked to KK about a range of topics that day." Cassie asserted that she knew a lot about my personal life. Another victim, Jane, showed a text message she received from Christina encouraging her to take illegal substances on board a commercial flight and saying, "It's okay. That's how I always behave, so why wasn't Christina invited to testify?" According to CNN, Christina was initially named as one of Diddy's various collaborators by his prosecution. But after that, they didn't discuss her at all. She would have been called to testify if she had been Diddy's co-conspirator, proving the racketeering element. It is utterly nonsensical. This is the only reason 50 Cent wants to make Christina famous. Some pro-prosecution supporters have even started to conjecture that Christina is the reason the case didn't work out. Some even contend that the trial was a cover-up to shield powerful people. The Diddy tale is still going strong against popular belief. According to one ex-user, the state was heavily involved in the cover-up. There will be more information soon. Maybe you're asking why Christina Korom KKK wasn't asked to testify if a certain Cammy was engaged. In all of this, there are more things. What role does this Kamami individual play? 2 weeks after Diddy's arrest and Damon Williams' declaration of his retirement, on November 25, 2024, Moore and Cammy, the case's lead prosecutor, joined the team. And all of it occurred at an odd moment. Damon Williams took over Diddy's management as soon as feasible. He withdrew just prior to Diddy's trial. However, why? The Comey name is the same as Morin in relation to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's case. Given that Diddy's purported blackmail database includes information and video of well-known public personalities, media moguls, and corporate executives, there are already allegations that certain U.S. government officials may have willfully disregarded or even assisted Diddy's blackmail scheme. It seems that a sizable number of tapes from Diddy's homes were taken by federal investigators during the raids. The identities of the people in the recordings have not yet been made public. The problem is far more serious than Diddy if this is true. It is now more obvious that Diddy was only an intermediary, just like Jeffrey Epstein. There is currently conjecture that Diddy was a protected intelligence asset who was operating a covert operation for a far more potent organization. Former U.S. lawyer Brett Tolman claims that Diddy and Epstein actually engaged in extortion methods that were essentially similar.
You see others. There's rumors that float around that they worked, with the government agencies at times, and I would not doubt that. I would not doubt that there were CIA operations or FBI operations that were ongoing over the many decades in which many times these individuals were operating, criminally. And you go back to Epstein, and I was flabbergasted at the deal that my colleague and friend Alex Acosta, the U.S. Attorney at the time in Florida, offered to Epstein. I mean, the only reason that you would believe that such a deal would be granted in that kind of a case and investigation was if there was solid information. Of course, we'll never know at this point, but there had to have been some solid information about some very high-level targets in order to give such a deal to an individual.
Is receiving threats, which is not surprising considering that it extends much beyond it if he is truly looking into all of this for his documentary. 50 also recently said he has no intention of backing down even though fans are already cautioning him to exercise caution. His Instagram was overrun with comments from fans saying Diddy will get the F off my page, talking about is how 50 clapped back calling Diddy a gay Teflon Don. He ought to frighten me. 50 claims that his fear has subsided. The individuals he's exposing, however, are not merely dishonest. They recall that they own the game.